Opening theaters this week is the horror sequel The Exorcist Believer, and here's my review. The Exorcist, William Friedkin's film adaptation of the William Peter Blatty novel, has deservedly earned its place as one of the all-time classic horror movies. It created genuine scares out of a mother watching her daughter become possessed by the devil. Making a sequel to a film of that legacy is a tall order for anyone. David Gordon Green gives it his best shot with The Exorcist Believer, but the result never goes beyond the usual horror film trickery, and most disappointing of all is how largely uninteresting the characters at the center of it are. The film struggles with making the viewer care that much about these people and the troubles caused by this new demonic possession. They're all written as archetypical horror characters and not given much personality beyond the bare minimum. There's a point where Leslie Odom Jr.'s photographer Victor says that he and his daughter have a connection, but we're not shown that at all in the early scenes before she goes missing and then suddenly turns up again. It does not take long for the devil's familiar tricks to appear, and the filmmakers go for all the beats we already know from Reagan's possession back in 1973. The decision to bring back Ellen Burston as Chris McNeil has potential, but winds up a wasted opportunity. Her presence adds very little to the story and just feels like it's there to add another connection to the first movie. If Burston had said no to returning, her role could have been written out without affecting the plot one bit. Green seems most intent on exploring how different people are affected by religion, and there are a few interesting ideas there. We see the point of view from the overtly devout to someone who thinks religion is useless, among others. But this is not something the film explores as deeply as it could have. With the scares, in addition to repeating the bed shaking and other aspects Friedkin made a lot more frightening the first time around, Believer mostly opts for flickering lights and the occasional jump scares. When we get to the titular exorcism, it's not exciting. It instead seems to go on, although the young actors playing the possessed girls certainly give it their all. That's the surprising thing about The Exorcist Believer. It never rises above average in its presentation, and it could have been any exorcism horror film rather than making it part of this legendary title. The Exorcist Believer just ends up being one big ball of nothing at the end. It does not feel like a continuation that had any pressing need to happen. Even as it tries to go some new territory, it wants so much to recapture the scares and thrills of the classic first movie. What made that film work so tremendously well is how heartbreaking it is seeing this happen to Reagan and the effect it has on everyone around her. That is largely missing in this sequel, as these are not characters one grows to care about. The thing is, David Gordon Green does not do too bad of a job of his direction, and a few intriguing ideas leap out. However, little in the story ends up worth investing in.